You're sitting in a room full of people, doing exactly what you're supposed to do, and something invisible is pressing against your ribs, like it's waiting for you to crack. If you never name that thing, it stays formless, and formless things are the hardest to face. You can't negotiate with fog. You can't push back on a pressure. So, you do what most people do. You power through. You keep the mask on. You answer the questions and pretend nothing's happened. But the pressure keeps building. And the more you ignore it, the louder it gets. Here's what that costs you over time. Not one dramatic breakdown, but 1,000 small ones you don't even register as breakdowns. A moment of hesitation before you open your mouth. A weird reluctance before a room full of people who are supposed to be on your side. Your body starts bracing before the situation even calls for it. You walk into a meeting that should be easy, and something in you already scanning for what might go wrong. That's not weakness, that's a pattern. And patterns left unnamed deepen. You stop trusting yourself in rooms where you used to feel confident. You start over-preparing, over-explaining, overcompensating. Not because you don't know what you're doing, but because something invisible keeps whispering that you're about to be found out. The whisper doesn't get quieter on it. I'm an analytical CPA. Numbers, systems, variance reports. That's my home turf. I spent years building my identity around being the person in the room who stays calm and thinks clearly. I sat in a budget meeting, which should have been the most comfortable place I could possibly be, and felt something press against my ribs and whisper, "Careful, they are judging you." I knew the answer to the question being asked. I knew it cold. But I hesitated. Not because I didn't know, because something in me had a louder opinion than the facts did. I'm not sharing this because it makes me look good. I'm sharing it because if it happened to me, in my most analytical, most logical, most controlled environment, then I believe it's happening to you too. And I have spent years since that day studying why it happened. What it actually is. And with the oldest wisdom traditions on the planet, figured out about how to deal with it. Here's the thing most people miss about anxiety. It doesn't feel like a thing. It feels like you. When anxiety is formless, when it's just some shapeless pressure in your chest, or a vague dread you can't locate, it has complete authority over you. You can't face it, you can't talk back to it, you can't separate yourself from it long enough to get any leverage. You can only try and outrun it. And we both know how well that works. But there's a principle that shows up in occult traditions across cultures, across centuries, and it's this. What is hidden has power over you. What is named becomes workable. This isn't mystical nonsense. It's practical, it's old, and it works. The moment I stopped calling it stress or pressure or being off, and started calling it what it actually was, everything shifted. Not because the anxiety disappeared, because it stopped being me. It became a heckler. A loud, obnoxious, overconfident heckler sitting in the cheap seats of my mind, yelling garbage every time I opened my mouth. And the moment it had a face, a voice, a seat in the stadium, I could finally do something with it. You can't argue with formless dread, but you can tell a heckler to sit down. That's the core of this. Not a cure, not a magic trick, a shift in the relationship between you and the things that's been pretending to be you. Here's what's actually happening when anxiety stays formless. Your body's scanning, constantly, looking for where there is a threat coming from. But if the threat has no shape, your body can't locate it, and it can't stop scanning. So it stays braced. Your chest stays tight. Your breath stays shallow. Your shoulders stay up. All day, every meeting, every question someone asks that sounds normal, but lands like a test. This is not a character flaw. This is a protection response that got stuck. Your body learned at some point that pressure was real, that judgment was coming, that you needed to be ready. And it's still following those instructions, even when the room is safe. Here is where naming the anxiety changes the pattern. When you say, "I'm anxious," your body hears, "This is who I am. This is what I am. There is no separation between me and this thing." It doubles down on the protection. It scans harder. But when you say, the heckler showed up, or the swarm is here, or the fog rolled in, something different happens. Your body gets a message. This is the thing that's here, not a thing that is me. That gap, that tiny bit of distance between you and the anxiety, is where your nervous system can finally exhale. Not because the anxiety is gone, but because it is no longer the whole story. Ancient rituals used names and symbols for this exact reason, not because the practitioners were superstitious, because they understood that what you can name, you can face, and what you can face, you can work with. The symbol, the form, the name, these were never decorative. They were functional. They were tools for making the invisible visible. And making it visible is the first step in making it manageable. So here is what I actually want you to do with this. Next time anxiety shows up, don't just feel it. Name it. Give it a form that fits your experience. Not mine, but yours. Is it a swarm buzzing around your head? A fog that rolls in and clouds your thinking? A heckler yelling from the cheap seats? A spinning wheel that won't stop turning? Pick one. Make it specific. Make it yours. And then, instead of saying, I'm anxious, try to say one of these things out loud, or even just in your head. The swarm is here. The fog rolled in. The heckler showed up. That's it. One sentence. You're not trying to eliminate the anxiety. You're not trying to talk yourself out of it. You're not performing calm. You are creating distance. One sentence worth of distance. And that small gap between you and the thing is enough to change how your body responds. No joke. This is not complicated. It does not require 15 minutes alone or a special journal or a breathwork practice. It requires one sentence in the moment right where you are. To be clear, this is not a cure. It is a tool. But it is a tool that has been used for thousands of years across multiple wisdom traditions because it does one thing really well. It takes what's hidden and makes it workable. Here's what actually changes when you use this consistently. Not everything, not immediately. I want to be honest with you about that. The heckler doesn't disappear. The swarm doesn't stop buzzing. The fog still rolls in sometimes. But something else happens. You stop merging with it. The anxiety is still there, but it is no longer you. It is something happening near you or to you, and that is a completely different experience. Your body stops bracing so hard in advance because it starts to learn that when the heckler shows up, you know what it is. You have dealt with it before. You have a name for it. And named things are less terrifying than formless ones. Over time, you start catching it earlier, before the pressure behind your ribs becomes a full spiral, before the hesitation becomes a freeze. You say the heckler showed up, and you finish the meeting like a sane person. That's not a small thing. Believe it or not, that quiet recovery in the middle of an ordinary day is where real change lives. Not in a dramatic breakthrough, in 1,000 small moments where you name the thing before it named you. Your chest is still yours, your voice is still yours, and you have a way to talk back to it now. Here's a question I want you to sit with today. What has your anxiety been pretending to be to you? Think about that. Not as a problem to solve right now, just as something to notice. What is the thing that you've actually been calling I that might actually be the heckler in the cheap seats? If you want to go deeper with this kind of work, check the description. I keep my current offerings there. The things that actually help you work with your mind in a real, grounded way.